I'm Mark Boylan.
And I'm Andy Cusimano.
And welcome to this month's edition of Eye on New Paltz. We're here at the Gunk for the infamous raft race, Greek raft race. And
yes.
Why don't you tell us a little about it, Andy?
Well, it's just all the Greek organizations on campus are having a raft race across the Gunk over here and see what sorority or fraternity wins.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go to our first story before that happens. State of SUNY. Well, why don't you...
State of SUNY Part 2. The phones have been ringing off the hook. I mean, we had State of SUNY Part 1 last month, and, I mean, it's just been nonstop phones.
Nonstop phones ringing off the hook.
I mean, you guys wanted State of SUNY, you wanted more State of SUNY, and State of SUNY. You wanted it, we got it, State of SUNY
Mark
Part 2.
Mark the video with State of SUNY Part 2.
In our last edition of Eye on New Paltz, I mentioned the financial woes of SUNY. So what physical changes can be seen next semester? Well, Marriott's in and Service America is out as of July 1st. Since SUNY requires college auxiliary service to rebid for food services every few years, the CAS board made up of students and administrators picked Marriott with the lowest bid. CAS Marketing and Communications Coordinator Ron Zuba explains what Marriott will bring for customers.
Marriott's proposed freezing the prices for $91.92. There will be no price increases in the food service for $91.92, and that is in keeping with our main challenge here. Also, Marriott has promised to redo Hasbrook Dining Hall. A lot of the students I've talked to have said it's kind of dreary in here. You know, it was real nice for a while, but now how about a change? And Marriott has proposed to do that, improve the atmosphere in any way possible. Number 3, a very exciting proposal by Marriott, is they're going to bring in a Pizza Hut operation into Oscars.
Zuba also said cash prices on items such as hamburgers should go down. And what will Marriott bring to employees?
Wages for employees will stay the same. There will be no pay cuts. They'll stay just as they were, and raises will go on. Will continue. Periodic raises will continue as if there's been no transfer at all of food service companies. Employees can look forward to significant improvements in health and health benefits, insurance, and retirement.
Another project College Auxiliary Services is working on is the construction of a new restaurant on campus. The college needs the faculty tower office space, so CAS will construct a 108-seat restaurant with the same services as the top of the tower, but the new restaurant will have its own kitchen and probably a dance floor. Zuba said groundbreaking is late this summer with an April 1992 opening. Until then, the top of the tower will remain open. The cost for the project is $600,000, funded solely through CAS, with Marriott paying half. So how do students feel about the new food service and the new restaurant?
The food. It should be a little better because of how I have friends who go to other schools and they have the Marriott service and they say it's really good.
The only thing that I'm worried about is the Service America employees, the full-time employees right now, because when we originally broke the story, they were guaranteeing them, all of them, returning jobs and better benefit plans, and now, from what I'm hearing, a lot of them have to go through an interview process first, and, you know, whether they get hired or not is still somewhat of a question.
I think people are looking for something new.
You know, the new restaurant will be nice. The food, I don't know. You know, we'll have to wait and see how good of a job they can do.
Not only is College Auxiliary Services making changes, but so is the college in general. Leaky and potentially leaky roofs are in the process of being repaired. Some of the roofs are the Lecture Center, the Library, Worcester, and Hasbrook. Many other facilities should receive other types of rehabilitation. Also look for a new warehouse near the physical plant. Its estimated cost is $210,000. Some things that won't be seen this fall due to delays are Smiley Arts 2, the new field house, and a new residence hall. When Smiley 2 gets off the ground, its estimated cost is $9 million, and the field house's estimated cost is $12 million. And according to college president Alice Chandler, a new residence hall is a long way off.
I don't see how by the end of this decade you are not going to see some new residence halls on the New Paltz campus.
Chandler said making the students pay for a new residence hall would be unfair, so other methods need to be looked into. The funding for Smiley 2 and the field house come from the State Capital Fund, not the General Fund. How the State Capital Fund works is this. All proposed state buildings are put on a list. The Capital Fund pays for the next project on the list, whether it's for SUNY or any other state agency. If for some reason a project can't be started, It is then bumped to the bottom of the list, and the next project gets the money instead. No money that supports SUNY education is used. So keep an eye out for changes next semester and the coming year. For Ian New Paltz, I'll Mark the video.
All right, so that was an interesting story that Mark did, and we hope that sorry, I don't mean.
Oh, okay, so thanks.
A letter. Thank you.
Newsletter.
Thank you. What does it say?
We want a State of SUNY Part 3. You got it.
All right, we'll keep updates every semester on what's going on with SUNY.
People just want more and more.
The phones are going to be ringing off the hook. I can feel it now.
Sure.
Our next story is What's Happening, and it's a two-part story.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about the first part?
Yeah, that features the Blues Jam at P&Gs.
And the Shantytown set up in protest of the tuition hikes that are going to be forced onto the campus.
Of people that come down here, like I said, we got guys that are into heavy metal that want to come in and play some blues, all kinds of guys. Singers come down. We got a saxophone player comes down, likes to play some jazz tunes as well as some funk and some blues. We got singers, guitar players, bass players, drummers. We got all kinds of different people.
Right here, please. Oh, please. I know the answer. Right here. I know it. Come on.
Gusano, why is it that you're so energetic this afternoon?
Because I watch Now That's Music, the rock video show.
Who would have figured?
Hi, I'm Michael Moore, the director of Roger and Me. Don't do your homework. Watch WNPC. They still call it homework?
Sorry.
Another
letter.
Another
Thank
request.
You. Thank you.
From all our viewing people out there.
Okay.
See what it says.
All right. I would like you to do a story on what would you change on campus. So we do have a...
we just so happen to have an actual story. What would you change?
What would you change is done by Rich Killian, and he's right now he's in front of the HAB, between the HAB and the sub. So let's go to him right now.
Well, it's May again. That means it's the end of another long academic year here at SUNY New Paltz. But, of course, there's always room for more change. So we're out here in the HAB concourse asking passersby what they would change here at SUNY New Paltz. And here's what they said.
The tuition, definitely. I would make it lower so more people could come and stay, go to school, because they need to.
This $500 increase. Can't afford it. For the upcoming students, well, this goes for all schools. First of all, the big thing that's going on now about the tuition and financial aid. That's one thing, I would like to change.
I would change the cost. I think it's too expensive.
It's a SUNY school, that's why I'm here. I'd be somewhere else if I could afford it.
No tuition hikes.
Like, there's a lot of real big social tension in New Paltz. Like, everyone's trying to unify themselves in their own little groups, and there's no grand unification.
I change the pigment. I make everybody blue.
The fact that it's not as racially integrated as one might think it is. People kind of keep to themselves, and but very few people work towards a common goal as far as racially integrating themselves. I guess people don't realize that they have to be active participants in such a thing.
I don't want any of those tacky blues, okay? I want a pure turquoise. Perhaps a little jade swirled into the general statement of pigment.
I think we should have more cultural and diverse programs on campus for everyone, so everyone could get together and mingle, not separate organizations. And just a friendlier atmosphere for people, because it seems like it's too much segregation on this campus.
I also want to have this turquoise pigment as an equalizer, sort of bring everybody into a oneness spiritually as well as physically.
Simply having something like different cultural study programs doesn't necessarily mean people can come together and really discuss things unless there's an outside force. There's not enough people pushing themselves towards it. There's not really much negativity. There's just not enough positive thinking in that respect.
That somebody would know what's going on when he went to get advised, because I've been to a million people and nobody can tell me anything. Like, I can't get any facts, like how many credits I need for this or that. It's just like, can't get any straight answers from anybody. So one thing would be like somebody get answers from.
If I had one thing to change about SUNY, it would be the control that the corporations to which the Board of Trustees members belong controls policy, especially energy policy here. For instance, in 1979, there was a program under which each building could have received $120,000 in money from the Carter administration, Department of Energy, to weatherize and insulate these buildings, and in some cases even solarize them. The administration completely dragged their feet on that, with the result that we never received that money.
When courses are cut, they should be replaced, regardless of the budget situation. Makes registration hard. It keeps people here an extra year or so, maybe 2 years in certain cases.
Like when they brought in all the IBM computers, there was no reason for that because the computers that were here were functioning before, but IBM had bought them, so they brought them in.
I would change the fact that they don't allocate any rehearsal space for musicians, because there's a demand in this community for live entertainment, and as a musician who tries to have a live band, they don't give us any place to rehearse. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to get copies of a petition for that matter.
A big problem that I have with SUNY New Paltz is the administration and the faculty don't seem to have any compassion for the students, especially when someone's an incoming freshman or a transfer, something like that. They don't know what they're supposed to do, and they'll ask someone for help, and they'll just treat them very rudely or just have no capability to tell them what to do in a nice way.
Definitely faculty.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that all these faculty members are being laid off and they're not replacing them with people of equal qualification. And the fact that they've cut the faculty and the classes so far down and are still letting in more people than they've ever let in before.
All the lines you have to wait on for everything, like maybe make better schedules, because there's a line for everything that you have to do here.
I would hope that they wouldn't cut out as many classes as they're planning on, but I don't know if there's much I could do about that.
I think also that a lot of things that people do, like I know a lot of people who don't know how to register, And if they gave you helpful hints on how to, if they sent out a piece of paper even to people who are commuters or people who live here saying, this is how you register, this is how you pay a bill, this is how you do this is how you do that, it would be so much easier for some people to get along. Some people I know are totally confused, end up paying bills late and not understanding and get in trouble, and, you know, delinquent accounts for it, stuff like that. So.
Oh God, I can think of many, many, many things.
All right, the race was an exciting one. Unfortunately, I'm not sure who won.
It looks like Paltz is in the lead, and they most likely will win.
Absolutely. They are very far ahead. But anyway, since we're taking requests this month on WNPC I and New Paltz, we have a writer here. Mark, will you please do a story on that guy who did the movie Roger and Me? No. The guy with the baseball cap. His name is Michael Moore.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I and New Paltz actually got an exclusive interview with Michael Moore a couple of weeks ago.
You ran into him last week.
That's right. So let's go to him right now.
Town or something was like, is this right? It's the next town, and it wasn't on the map, and I thought, shit, I've ruined, I'm not going to be in New Paltz, but then we got to Poughkeepsie, and I was very sad to hear on the way in that some students were actually ordered to be here tonight. I want to apologize to you. You could really beam some interesting things into the dorms then, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, tonight we're showing your movie twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Don't tell Warner Brothers that.
No, we took care of that. We paid for that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you should just rip it off.
Are you getting this? Get this. Jeez.
Don't pay them anymore.
Michael Moore's lecture was interesting and entertaining, as well as extremely informal, and it was preceded by a viewing of Roger and Me, which according to Moore is the top-grossing documentary of all time. Moore discussed how he financed the movie.
The movie cost $160,000 to make, and we couldn't get any grants or nobody gave us any money because we'd never made a movie before, so I did have a house in Flint, which I sold.
He also discussed technical problems which he ran into while making the film.
They don't, and they don't know what they're doing. Look, they can't even load the film in the camera, and it's true. Here we are, we're fumbling around trying to get the magazine into the camera. I mean, we did a whole interview with Jesse Jackson where we forgot to turn the switch on for the sound.
He also ran into some legal problems after the film was finished.
And we've only been sued twice. We have 20 other lawsuits being pending against us. But you can't spend any time with it. You just give it to the lawyers and let them deal with it. But I mean, it has now cost me probably close to $100,000 in legal fees.
He even mentioned his upcoming movie project.
I am working on another film. It's a political satire. It's a fiction film, but loosely. It's a satire on Bush's New World Order. And
in Roger and Me, Michael Moore tells the important story of how General Motors factory closings devastated his hometown, Flint, Michigan. The Roger mentioned in the title is GM Chairman Roger Smith.
So this was GM Chairman Roger Smith, and he appeared to have a brilliant plan. First, close 11 factories in the U.S., then open 11 in Mexico, where you pay the workers 70 cents an hour. Then use the money you've saved by building cars in Mexico to take over other companies, preferably high-tech firms and weapons manufacturers. Next, tell the union you're broke, and they happily agree to give back a couple $2 billion in wage cuts. You then take that money from the workers and eliminate their jobs by building more foreign factories. Roger Smith was a true genius.
In the film, Moore attempts to get Smith to come to Flint to see the damage his layoffs did. And in an informal interview before the lecture, Moore told WNPC about his unsuccessful pursuit.
It does seem possible you can approach the rich and famous if you work at it. We didn't really have any luck though with him, but we thought they would call our bluff once we got near to the end of the film and just give us the interview so they could say, you know, we gave you the interview and we weren't being a jerk.
He also told us about the present condition of Flint, Michigan.
It's worse now. It's worse now than it was during the movie. More factories have closed.
While the topic Michael Moore dealt with in Roger and Me is obviously a serious and important one, the documentary was humorous and enjoyable. Moore told his audience why his film was made this way.
I don't think that we diminished the seriousness of this issue by allowing people to laugh a little bit. In fact, I think it worked better that way than as opposed to having you be, you know, beaten up for an hour and a half, coming at you with our own club, with our own political agenda, and showing you just how rotten and terrible the whole thing is. And I think when that happens, then people just leave depressed. And I don't want you to leave the auditorium depressed. I want you to go out there and do something.
Well, that was a very informative interview there, Mark. How was it interviewing?
It was a great interview. We got 25 minutes with him, and he had a lot to say about the problems in America and the auto industry. And, you know, it's a great movie. I think everyone should see it because it's fun and it's informative, and it really deals with problems in America that many journalists don't cover these days. Yeah. So, anyway, it's now finals time.
Yeah, and I interviewed various students on campus to see how they prepare and how they go about studying for finals. This is what I found out. Now, see, finals week are coming along, you know, and we study. So this is just, how do you go about studying? How long do you study? Why do you study?
Well, I study about 2-3 hours for each class, depending on which class it is. You know, if it's a history class, then I'll have to study a little bit more because it's dates and stuff.
And you're an RA, sir?
Yes.
At what building?
Crispell.
Ah, Crispell. Do they really keep it 24 hours quiet? Yeah. Tell us the truth. The backstage behind Crispell, ladies and gentlemen, they really do keep it quiet. Not even a little sound.
Not even a little sound. You drop a pin and you're out.
So how long do you study for finals?
About a second and a half, as little as I can.
Now, is this weeks in advance or days?
Not even close. It's about, what, hours?
Hours?
Yeah.
And do you have a good GPA or a bad GPA?
I had one last term. I had an A GPA last term.
Thank you. There's Jill, A GPA, studying 1 second. And Jill's friend over here, what's her name, ma'am?
Allison.
Allison, and how long do you study?
How long?
Well, you know, time-wise, yeah, for the week in advance, 2 weeks. How long for each subject?
Much in advance.
No?
No, not that much in advance.
2 days in advance?
Yeah, 2 days.
How long for each subject? I'm getting excited, ladies and gentlemen. Jill's feet is exciting. Now, how long in advance?
How long in advance?
Like, I mean, I answered that question already.
Well, if you keep up with it, then it's not so bad at the end.
And Debbie, what about you? How do you go about studying for finals? You get nervous?
I don't. I don't get nervous. I don't study. I'm a freshman. I'm entitled.
Oh! All right, we're just interviewing Jill and the gang, and I think I found a new person I'm in love with. It's Jill. Jill, I love you. Okay, we're going to interview Lauren now. Is this Lauren, Wendy?
Yep.
Wendy Lauren.
Yeah.
Wendy Lauren. It sounds like a new pair of designer glasses, doesn't it? All right, Wendy Lauren, we're going to interview. We'll go. It's like, so, Lauren, how do you feel about stuff? No, we won't do that. Sorry, kids. We'll go up here. Wendy Lauren. Brian, it's you. Okay. How you go about studying for finals? Do you get nervous? How long do you spend time with each subject? And how long do you prepare in advance for studying for finals? And there's music. So, what? Oh! Chris Bell, ladies and gentlemen. Not a sound. Just...
It's my influence.
Just hear the birds singing, see? Not a word. All right, so Lauren, how long do you study in advance for? How long for each subject?
Well, I don't study that far in advance because, you know, it's like you keep learning stuff until like about a week before, and I don't think that there's a reason to study a lot for finals because if you haven't gotten it all like out of the classes during the year, then what are you going to do cramming them for, you know, a night? I definitely study right up until the final, though, like the night before, and then right up until like I walk out because then it's all right in your head.
Boom, done, you got it. And we're interviewing Rhonda Palma.
I'm
Palma. I can't say that word. All right, now we're going to ask you, how long do you study for finals? How far in advance do you prepare? How long for each subject? Why do you have brown hair? And why do you like strawberries? Thank you. Next question. Now, this is Rhonda. No, I'm just kidding. It was a joke. Getting tangled up again. All right, please, go ahead.
Which question? You want me to answer all of them?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be in order,
Okay. The reason I have brown hair is because that's what I was born with.
Boom, done.
It's curly because it's natural.
Boom.
How long do I study for finals?
See. Yes.
It depends on how hard the class is. If the class is really hard, then I study for it like a week before. And if it's fairly easy, then I study it like 2 or 3 nights ahead of time for about 2 hours, depending on how much material I have to cover.
I study 2 weeks in advance.
2 weeks? 2 weeks. That must have been the longest of any of the people we interviewed. Is your GPA really good or really bad?
It's pretty good.
What's your GPA?
I don't want to talk about my GPA.
Is it above a 3.0?
Yes, it's.
Well, that's unheard of here at New Paltz, ladies and gentlemen. Above a 3.0, and see, if you study, that should tell you something. Study for 2 weeks, you get above a 3.0. Boom, we're out of here.
I'm going to start studying for my finals next week, and I'm not going to study very long for them.
How long do you think for each subject? A couple hours?
Maybe like 2-3 hours.
Do you have a decent GPA?
Yes, I do.
Is it above a 3.0?
No, but I almost.
Almost. See? It's good enough. And for me, I study over a week in advance. In between a week and 2 weeks. And trying to alternate the days, and like you really care. And my GPA is not that bad. Thank you. Please join us for next time. Now back to myself and Mark, the co-host of New Paltz. Thank you.
Anyway, around finals time, I do what that girl does. I study for like a second. Last thing from my mind. Don't even touch it. Don't even worry about it.
Seems like you're not the only one. Everybody at New Paltz is doing that.
Well, that's why we have to stay here for about 5 years. But anyway, this has been another edition of Eye on New Paltz. I'm Mark Boylan.
I'm Eddie Cusimano.
And have a great month, great summer, and we'll see you next semester. Get on in here. Crumple it up and roll it at us. Crumple it up and throw it at us. That's enough? Let's get going.